All right, let's kick things off with a massive paradigm-shifting question. What if the internet wasn't just built for sharing information, but actually had a built-in native financial layer? I mean, for decades, we've been able to send an email or a photo to the other side of the planet in literally milliseconds. But what if we could move actual value across the globe in exactly the same seamless, permissionless way? Imagine the implications for global finance, for creators, and really just for everyday users if the internet had its very own economy. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are taking on a massive topic, Ethereum. Our goal here is to cut through all the noise, the hype, and the crazy jargon to demystify this incredibly powerful technology. We're going to distill its vast ecosystem into clear, actionable concepts so you can truly understand how it functions beneath the surface, and more importantly, how you can get started using it today. Here is our roadmap for today. 1. The world computer. 2. The Great Divide. 3. Smart contracts and dApps. 4. Yield and tokenomics. And 5. The Layer 2 revolution. Let's get into it.
Section 1. The world's computer.
Proposed by Vitalik Buterin in his 2014 white paper, Ethereum was designed to solve a very specific limitation of Bitcoin: its lack of programmability. While Bitcoin was an absolute breakthrough as a decentralized digital ledger, Ethereum was envisioned from the jump as something much, much broader. It was built to be this ultimate abstract foundational layer, featuring a built-in, fully-fledged, Turing-complete programming language. In simple terms, developers could write code to solve virtually any computational problem, allowing them to build infinitely complex, programmable applications directly on a secure blockchain. It wasn't just a spreadsheet this guy, It was meant to be a globally shared supercomputer.
And that brings us to the core building block of this entire global supercomputer, the smart contract. Think of a smart contract like a highly advanced digital vending machine. You put a digital asset in, and the unchangeable code guarantees you get a specific outcome out. They're just self-executing programs deployed directly on-chain that move digital assets according to arbitrary, pre-specified rules. But the absolutely crucial point here is the complete elimination of the middleman. There is no bank holding up your transaction for the weekend, no lawyer needing to verify a signature, and no centralized company taking a cut. The code simply executes exactly as written, 24/7. To understand how bulletproof this system is, we can look at how Ethereum processes these smart contracts behind the scenes using a state transition function. First, the network meticulously checks the transaction validity to make sure everything is properly formatted. Second, it verifies the cryptographic signature and a unique counter, called a nonce, to ensure every transaction is strictly processed only once. No duplicating payments here. Third, it executes the code and adjusts the balances of everyone involved. And finally, it outputs a brand new, globally agreed-upon state. It's a mathematically rigorous way of safely moving the entire network from one valid state to the next without relying on trust.
Section 2. The Great Divide.
But this ambitious new frontier was honestly incredibly messy at the start, leading to a massive philosophical fork in 2016. We need to look neutrally at this historical split because it fundamentally defined two radically different pathways for blockchain tech. Basically, it happened following a catastrophic hack where millions of dollars were abruptly drained from an early, heavily funded smart contract. It was a total existential crisis for the young network, and the community fractured on how to respond. On one side, Ethereum, or ETH, chose pragmatism and social consensus, deciding to effectively rewrite the chain's history to recover the stolen funds and protect early users from absolute ruin. On the flip side, Ethereum Classic, or ETC, utterly refused to intervene. They strictly upheld the code is law principle, insisting on the uncompromising immutability of the blockchain, regardless of the painful financial outcome. To this day, these two chains continue to operate on these entirely different foundational philosophies.
Section 3. Smart contracts and dApps.
Now, what's really fascinating is how that grand vision of a world computer has actually materialized. If you're looking to get started today, you aren't staring at screens of raw, complex code. You're interacting through sleek user interfaces using decentralized applications, or dApps. These are the storefronts of the new internet economy. Take Uniswap, for example. You can seamlessly swap tokens directly from your own wallet without ever handing custody over to a centralized exchange. Or look at Aave, where you can lend your digital assets to earn interest, completely bypassing the traditional banking system. You can easily stake your ETH to help secure the network via Lido, or browse and buy digital collectibles on OpenSea.
Basically, Ethereum has firmly established itself as the absolute dominant settlement layer for this entire decentralized finance and Web3 ecosystem.
Section 4, Yield and Tokenomics.
So, how does all this massive global usage actually translate into structural value for the underlying Ethereum network itself? Well, the crucial point is understanding the tokenomics, which underwent a complete transformation with a monumental event known as the merge. This is where Ethereum transitioned to a proof-of-stake consensus mechanism, fundamentally changing ETH into a yield-bearing asset. Right now, there are over 35 million ETH staked, locked up by more than 1.1 million independent validators actively securing the network. Plus, a major upgrade known as EIP 1559 introduced a base fee burn mechanism. This means that every single time someone uses the network, a portion of the ETH fee is permanently destroyed. This creates a dynamic and, during periods of high usage, a deflationary monetary supply. It's incredibly attractive to users because it introduces scarcity, acting almost like a continuous stock buyback. It literally consumes its own fuel to operate.
Section 5. The Layer 2 Revolution.
Let's see how all this foundational tech builds a solution to Ethereum's biggest historical bottleneck: severe network congestion and sky-high transaction fees. The solution is elegant and highly effective. Instead of stubbornly forcing all activity onto the main chain, Ethereum now relies heavily on Layer 2 rollups. These are fast secondary networks built on top of Ethereum that process massive volumes of transactions off-chain, granting you incredible speed and extremely low costs. But here's the genius part. They bundle, or roll up, thousands of those transactions into a single batch and post that compressed data back to the main Ethereum chain for ultimate settlement. Imagine putting 1,000 paper receipts into a single envelope and paying the post office for just one stamp. You get the cheap fees and fast speeds of a smaller network while fully inheriting the ironclad security of the Ethereum base layer. And the adoption of this scaling technology has been nothing short of staggering. Looking at recent data up through May 2026, an astonishing 92% of daily Ethereum ecosystem transactions had completely migrated off the main chain and onto this Layer 2 scaling layer. 92%. The network is operating exactly as planned. The massive weight of everyday retail activity, the continuous micro-swaps, gaming transactions, NFT mints, has heavily shifted away from the expensive premium real estate of the mainnet. In fact, today, the scaling layer seamlessly processes in roughly a single day what the mainnet takes a fortnight to handle. The main chain has successfully transitioned into a highly secure, luxury settlement layer for massive transactions, while the Layer 2s act as the bustling, affordable retail streets. Now, this incredible migration didn't just happen by accident. It was supercharged by the Dencun upgrade and a highly anticipated technical feature called proto-danksharding, specifically EIP 4844. This upgrade introduced what are known as blob transactions. Think of a blob as just a remarkably large chunk of heavily compressed data attached to a transaction that doesn't need to be permanently executed by the main network, just temporarily verified. This essentially created a dedicated separate fee market just for Layer 2 data. The result? It drastically slashed the data costs for these Layer 2 networks by about 90%, almost overnight. This was the exact catalyst that democratized access and made the Ethereum ecosystem truly scalable for the masses. So if you're getting started today and want to bypass those high mainnet fees, you'll want to choose the right Layer 2 for your specific needs, because the ecosystem has become highly specialized. For example, if you're a DeFi power user looking for deep liquidity, Arbitrum is currently the undisputed leader. If you're more interested in social and consumer applications, Coinbase's base network is heavily focused on everyday, frictionless onboarding. For developers and builders wanting to deploy across a massive web of interconnected chains, Optimism has built an open standard. And for those seeking cutting-edge technology, networks like zkSync Era and Starknet are pushing the envelope with zero-knowledge tech, allowing the network to mathematically prove a transaction is valid without ever revealing the underlying private data. It's a rich, diverse landscape totally ready to be explored. To wrap things up, I want to leave you with a provocative thought to ponder. As we look at the landscape beyond 2026, Ethereum has successfully scaled its underlying technology and effectively transitioned its vast user base to these affordable Layer 2s. But with the massive, unstoppable rise of stablecoins taking over as an immediate global store of value, and fierce, well-funded competition from alternative Layer 1 networks fighting for market share, will Ethereum be able to continually reactivate enough organic, diverse demand to maintain its undisputed crown as the programmable money layer of the internet?
It's going to be a fascinating evolution to watch unfold. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep learning and stay curious.